Good morning, everyone. It's Blast and a Half, and I have the amazing. I mean, seriously, I know I use the word amazing often, but this case, it is double amazing because I have Cher Jones. Cher, just in case there's someone out there who may not know who you are, please do yourself a great intro.
What? Someone who doesn't know who I am? My
heart. It's hard to believe.
Hey everyone, my name is Cher Jones and I am a corporate social media trainer and personal branding expert. And I literally work with leaders on the rise who want to create and master their message and create a presence online and off, and leveraging platforms like LinkedIn and wherever else makes sense for them. But really it comes down to mastering their message, and that's what I help leaders do.
And tell us, like, leaders on the rise, like who would fall into that camp? Just so, you know, there's somebody out there who knows, hey, I'm a leader on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Like I identify or someone identifies as a leader on the rise.
Okay, so somebody who actually likes their job right now. They like the company. I know they sound like mythical unicorns, but they actually like their job. They like the company that they're in, but they also have to project for what's next. Here's the thing, though, is that they are not in the number one spot. They might be a director of many or a VP of, in a financial institution, for example, you're a VP of thousands or hundreds. And so how do you stand out? How do you get recognized and acknowledged for what you do? Put some respect on your name, you know what I mean? And it's just like literally those people who always want to be ready for what's next, but acknowledge where they are at right now. So what they need to do is show up and represent, so they're able to create a presence that makes people want to work with them, for them, and champion them.
Right. So these are leaders on the rise, not a mythical unicorn, but people who also, believe it or not, are prime picking for what's next, right?
Yes.
We never know who's watching. And that's actually the topic of our show, right? Today, this morning. This Blast and a Half is brought to you by How Are You Showing Up with Cher Jones? And so talk to us about what it means to show up, because, you know, when we're out in the world, we know how to show up, because if we're invited to a party, we come and, you know, oftentimes people say, what should I bring, right? And that's the proper way of showing up. But how do we show up online, and how do we show up so that we are not only just showing up, we're delivering as we show up?
Exactly. And if we take it back a little bit, it's really about bringing trust and credibility, right? And giving people the language to talk about you when you're not in the room. And in order to do that, you need to master your message. And what I mean by that is, how do you want people to talk about you? What do you want them to say? And if you root your language in service, meaning how do you help? Then people can easily make your message, quote unquote, viral. Because when you know somebody who can help the situation, the person, the team, you're going to talk about them. And if you have given them the language, so if you're that person and you've given them the language to talk about you, so how you show up in your profiles, for example, what's your message? How do you help? What happens now is people are able to articulate your value, and you've made it also very clear of your zones of genius and things that you can truly move the dial on and help people move forward. So I would say mastering your messages is absolutely key. Before you need your message before you need a brand and before you need LinkedIn.
Okay, so tell us what your message is. I want to hear your message. I want you to tell us what you want every person who is not only watching this live, but watching the rerun say after they, you know, meet you. What would that key message be?
Okay, well, I can help people develop a powerful message that communicates their value in what they do, and then translate that into a presence so that when people, whether they meet them face to face or online, will want to either work with them, for them, or refer them, and even champion them. So
Mm.
it's really about that. It's really nailing that presence. And again, I work with leaders who want to show up in the right way and always be opportunity ready for what's next. And that's not necessarily a position. That could be an opportunity to speak on behalf of the company. That could be to work on a special project. That could be to lead an event. There are more than one ways outside of just the next job for them. It's about visibility. So it's about developing that presence, that credibility, that visibility, and of course, ultimately influence, because you can influence your path forward.
Right. And tell us how that benefits you and what it's costing you if you don't have one. If you don't have a master message, if you don't have a presence, what is the downside, whether you are a leader on the rise, whether you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, a job seeker, in many of the cases of the people that I speak to, because I think we've all seen it done badly.
Right.
And what should we do to avoid that? What are the first three things? What are the first mistakes that people are making? And then what are the action steps that they can take? So we'll break that down. Sorry.
Okay. So one of the things is, if you are not clear on what you want, and again, that could be a new position, but it also could be that recognition within your company for your thought leadership and expertise. And thought leadership is not necessarily on a specific topic. It could also be about the years that you've spent at this company. So you have integral information on how things work, what things are happening in the company, the industry, and all that stuff. This is information that companies can't buy. And so one of the things that people need to know is, what is it they want to get out of where they are right now? Do they want to be acknowledged as the type of leader they are, for their industry knowledge and expertise, for a way of doing things, for an expertise, whatever it is, or to get that next spot eventually, or sooner than later, depending on when they want it. But knowing what they want. So understanding your goal or goals is super important, because that will help you tailor your message. Because at this point in your career, you've done a lot. So you can't like just blast people, fire hose people with all the things that you've done. And I'll be pretty honest and frank about this, is a lot of people don't care what you've done until they know what you can do for them. Right. And what you do now. Right.
So the first thing is that lack of clarity, right?
Yes.
Okay. So lack of clarity with your goals.
Yes.
Because it's impossible for somebody to be able to understand that by osmosis.
Correct.
Right. And I think that when we're in our heads, because we can't articulate it, we're just like, and I hear this a lot, well, if something comes along, well, nothing is going to come along that's going to make sense for you if you don't know exactly, even have a general idea of what you're interested in. So give us an example of a leader on the rise who would have a specific goal that they could aim for. Okay.
So right now, it could be relationship building, so that they can build brand awareness within the company for their expertise as well as their leadership capabilities, so that while they're loving where they are right now, when the right opportunity arises, their name is top of mind. So what we know is that most people will see you doing a good job because no one's complaining about you. So, good job. And maybe they even like you, and a lot of people like you. But most people don't know the value you bring, right? So you need to make sure, based off of where you want to be. So let's just say, again, going back to this specific example, it's about recognition and visibility. So people are seeing your impact, talking about you in a way that serves your company, right? So that means that, one, you have to show what's in here in a way and translate it. In this case, we're talking digitally. So how do you create a space where you are translating this into some sort of content. And content doesn't necessarily mean a blog article or a post or anything like that. It could be a reply to something. It could be you joining a conversation where you're sharing your thought leadership and expertise. It could be joining someone else's platform. So getting down with OPP, which I'm doing right now, other people's platforms, you know what I mean? And so that people can start to see what is inside and what is also the value outside. So that's what people need to do, because now you start to, if you show up more, and of course you'll show up even better if you create content. But again, I don't want to put that burden on everybody, because it's not in leadership. Oftentimes, unless you're writing a book or you're on a speaking circuit, the idea of creating regular content is just not a reality to most people. That doesn't mean they can't do it occasionally and thoughtfully and strategically. But that regular, oh, you got to post something at least once a week and all that stuff. No, if you're replying to comments, if you are DMing people, those strategies will keep you top of mind and also keep people talking about you. But before you even think about just that visibility, you need to master your message. So based off of what you want, you need to position yourself on your profile, right? In a service-centric way. So again, it's not the laundry list of things you've done in order to, and most people, what they do is once they're done working with you, they get their dream job, they just update their title. But what their profiles just showcase is everything they did to get the job, not what they do now. So they're living in the past, but trying to move towards the future.
Such a good point, right? It's not a set it and forget it kind of thing, right? It needs to evolve with you. So you're growing, changing, new things are happening, and it needs to be fed, right?
Absolutely.
Otherwise it just atrophies and it becomes outdated. And you know, it's important to keep that ever present, because people are excited if there's something new there. And also, you never know who's watching. So
and again, when you're articulating all the things you've done to get the job, it doesn't, so yes, that is so important in order to get that job, right? But it doesn't articulate you now, because of course you evolved from that experience. All that experience culminates into what you do now. So you need to reposition.
Okay, can you call that the second mistake? Is that people don't
they live in the past,
update what they're doing.
They focus on what they did. That's a big mistake.
And that's, that's history.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And there's strategic moves every step of the way. And that's the whole thing. It's like, as we talked about offline, I don't work with job seekers, right? That's your area, Lauren. And that's something that you do and you specialize, because there's certain nuances around positioning yourself for that next position. So if you are actively looking for a job, you want to work with an expert who knows how to help you position for what's next. Right. What I do is I work in the now. I present and I help you present a message and a presence that helps you show up now in your value now and how you serve now, because that's your main focus. So this whole thing, like this whole set it and forget it thing, that is not the case with branding. Branding is like has an ing, so it's constantly in motion. Mm-hmm. It's a verb. We're constantly doing it.
Absolutely. And I want to also just give some shout outs to Bob McIntosh, hello Bob, and Marty Constant and David Breyer, who's here, and a bunch of others. But one of the things that I think is super important that Bob is talking about is perception. And perception, which we're talking about in not a direct way, but in an indirect way, is what people are saying about you, what the message is that they're taking away. And no matter where you are in your career, perception is reality. Absolutely. Right? That's their reality. That is exactly what they think. And we have an opportunity to actually craft that message so that they're walking away with something, as you said, not just what I was 5 weeks ago or a year ago, who I am today, what I am doing in the now, so that I can also deliver for what's next.
Exactly. And I think that people are only as good as their source. And oftentimes they may have word of mouth stuff that they've heard or whatever. And there's, passing things here and there, especially if they're looking at you in a good light. We're not talking about the negative repercussions of not doing well where you are and all that stuff. I'm talking about people saying, oh my gosh, you have to talk to Cher. Oh my gosh, you have to talk about Lauren. She's awesome. Right. And that's great. And in your language, she's amazing. Right. And it's like that's great. But that doesn't give me the tangible value. That doesn't allow me to perceive the value. Awesome. Great. So that means maybe I should talk to her. But what's the next thing they do? They look you up. Now, how are you communicating and influencing their perception? Because like I said, they're only as good as their source. Right. And the more language that you put out there, the next time somebody else is referring you or championing you, they now have language. They may even say, hey, this is Lauren right here. Look her up. She's awesome because she does this, this, and that. And they're literally they're spoon feeding them the language to talk about you. And that is incredibly important.
So when we say you're only as good as your source, right? Where's the source?
Well, I personally believe that LinkedIn is the professional home for your personal brand. So that is your wiki. That is where people are going. That is where people go. Is that the only source? It depends on what your goals are, right? So I believe that all areas of social, whether you are on one network or multiple platforms, especially when you're on multiple platforms, they give you different angles to your personal brand. So you get a 360 view, especially if you're on multiple platforms. And do they have to be exactly the same? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. Right? But you need to make sure that one platform doesn't embarrass another. So, and I'm going to even add in what people don't recognize a lot and are, for example, even dating platforms play into your personal brand. You meet professionals all the time and you just can't believe they're professional, but based off of what they said in their platform, but that's a whole or in their profile, that's a whole other story. But at the end of the day, is each side of what you put out there comes back as a whole perception.
Right. So they're aggregating, right?
Yes.
They're aggregating. They're taking a piece here. You're taking a piece here.
Right.
And as Lee said, are we only as good as our ability to discern the quality of information from the source?
To some degree, yes. Because that's all we got until you meet them, until you work with them, until you have enough of your own sample data to then come up with your own conclusions. So those that are strategic about what they want to put out there will show proof in multiple ways. And that's generally through content, whether it's your own content, whether it's responding to comments, whether that's showing up on other people's content, right? So what you need to do now is think about, well, what are the things I need people to know about me and my knowledge base, expertise, influence? Where's my sweet spots? Where are the things that I want people to value? And imagine me in some sort of opportunity, role, project, whatever. And so how can I prove that I have what I say I have on my profile? And you got to think about that with strategic content.
Because what we also talked about right before we jumped on here is, yes, perception is reality to whoever is, not aware of who you are or doesn't know you personally. But then when they meet you, you may be generating kind of low-level trust, but the real trust can come. They have enough information that they actually want to engage with you on a deeper level. And then they get to know you. And that has to align, because nothing is worse than they find out, oh, that isn't the person that
you're this
yourself to be.
You position yourself as this larger than life, fully expert in this. And then when you actually talk to them, you realize they're like one click deep, meaning that they just read a blog article and they've regurgitated it and they can't actually apply the knowledge they say they have. And that's really where the winning comes into play, especially especially for more established professionals. right? Which is generally who we work with. That it's knowledge application. It's experiential application, because that's how you know. It's not just because everybody looks real smart with their blog post or with, their talking points, because anybody can look something up and sound like an expert, right? But when you're able to apply that in the situation, that's when it's game changing, right? So I think for most people, being strategic about what kind of content they want to put out there, right? And really thinking about, that's why that first step around goals is so important, because you got to know what you want so that you are very strategic with your presence and then your messaging, right? You've got to do that. So
this is huge. So I'm just going to recap some of these mistakes, right? Just so that we have them, and also talking about.
You're an awesome recapper. I'm just saying you like just tick, tick, two, and then getting all those points. You're awesome.
Mistake number one is the lack of clarity with your goals. And that is going to disseminate down into what that message is, right? If you don't have clarity on what it is you stand for, what it is that you do, how it is that you're going to be able to help people,
and who's your audience,
and who you're speaking to. And this may not sound like rocket science, but go try it. Yeah. It's not, it's one of those things that's like surprisingly more challenging than it appears to be. And get some outside help for this if you are stumped, because you're in the jam jar, and I see it actually all the time. The greatest marketers and creatives of all times are like, what? I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. It's not that easy to make it succinct and memorable, and also true, of course, to you. So mastering your message is going to come in after you've clarified what you want to stand for and all that good stuff. And then from there,
create your presence.
Create that presence, right? Consistently, right? Because one and done doesn't actually work. It takes several layers and time for that to happen.
You iterate to innovate, right? And it takes time. And as you continue to walk in that message, you're going to iterate your message, because you're going to realize, well, actually, no, what I really do is this. And the more you get experience, you're going to be like, actually, I don't want to experience that anymore. So let me reposition to make sure I'm attracting more of what, and I'm known for more of what I want to be known for. Because we can do a lot of things. Doesn't mean you want to be known for everything you can do.
Absolutely. Right. So I think I have a typo here, but I'm not going to change it. So iterate to innovate, right? Constantly be touching it, moving it along the needle, because we know history is the past and it's gone. Right. And then one of the other things that this drives is being, I love this phrase, being opportunity ready.
Yes.
Opportunity ready means, I have a friend that refers to it, this is the 3 a.m., I have a 3 a.m. friend. Yeah. You call her in the middle of the night and you say, oh my gosh, I need to borrow, $5 million. And she's like, okay, I'm ready, Like that's what we mean by opportunity ready.
Absolutely. Because you don't know when you're being brought up in a conversation. Have you ever thought about, who would be great for? How about those things happen all the time? Referrals often happen when people are championing you or referring you. They often happen when you are not in the room. So if they know they have a go-to best source so that they can share you, because one, if you've mastered your message and created a presence that makes people want to work with you, for you, and champion you, what happens is they now have something really good to share, because you've packaged your genius, you've packaged your value, you're owning your awesome within that presence. And now someone else gets to share that awesome. And actually we know that, for us, when you're sharing somebody and that this is a good referral, this is an awesome person for you to meet, it makes you look good.
Absolutely. Right. Yes. Because I don't want to eat all the chocolate cake by myself. Exactly. Right. I want to be able to share that. And if I have somebody that's super amazing and awesome, of course. Yeah. Why do you think you're here? David shared me with you, and now you're here, right? You own your awesome, and now I want your awesome to be able to be seen by more and more and more. So
exactly. Awesome is viral. Okay. Awesome is viral. People want to share awesome. No one keeps awesome to themselves. They really, really don't, unless they have other psychological issues. That's not for the show. But no one keeps awesome to themselves. You want to share that because you get to shine on their awesome, and it's awesome. And it's see, your word is amazing. My word is awesome. Okay, I overuse awesome to the the 10th, like to the power of 10. Like it's crazy, but it's okay.
Yes. I share chocolate cake, and I like what Tegan said. Good people know good people.
Exactly.
Right?
Tegan,
and good people want to share good people.
Right.
And so this is
if you're a good person, you need to share the goodness about you so you can better equip people to share that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I totally, this is also a very near and dear topic for me, the good old hidden job market. How does word spread around? Whew. Well, I talked about this person. I talked about this person. You should meet this person. And obviously, the more people that know your message as you're talking to them, what happens? Right? It's like a spider web.
And I want to, sorry to interrupt you. I want to add something to the hidden job market, because we think about that specifically for positions, but there's a hidden opportunity market at work, right? So it's like when you sit back and you bring all this awesome experience to the table, but yet no one called you to ask you for input on this direction for that. There's a reason, because you weren't visible, right? No one called you to speak at this conference when you would have been the perfect person to speak at the conference. No one asked you to be a part of something, a project or a group or something. So there is a hidden opportunity market for those who are not on the job seeking market. There's hidden and that gives them the spotlight. It gives them the visibility that will it's like a gateway to the hidden job market.
Oh, 100%. Because most people who are currently employed, especially now, they're the target. Because if you are unhappy in your current role, maybe you're not out there actively looking, but you are ripe, and anyone can come along at any time and say, by the way, I happen to notice this great post that you did, or I was on this, at this live conference, and I, was introduced through somebody, and there you have it. So I love this. The hidden opportunity market happens when you're visible, and when that right message is there, and when that right presence is there. And just to circle back, one more thing, I do want to reiterate this last point that you had, the number 3 mistake. Please continue to build it. And, when I hear people say, or job seekers in particular, oh, I have a LinkedIn profile. That's usually the alarm that goes off, like,
It's like, really? So tell me about your LinkedIn profile.
Exactly. And I often say it should be treated like a landing page, not as a poster, not as a profile. It needs to do something like convert. It needs to have a call to action. It needs to have some way that it is moving and grooving, right?
Lauren, you're taking me to church today. That's right.
Okay. All right. I'm glad we're in church together, because it's a good place to be. This, seriously. So if your LinkedIn profile is hamana, and it's like a bunch of crickets in the desert, or I don't even know if there's crickets in the desert. You catch my drift.
Imagine them there.
then it's not working, right? Then it's being massively underutilized, and that means you are also not being optimized. So for sure, don't forget it and set it. If you are on LinkedIn, and if you're watching this, reach out to somebody like Cher, especially if you are a leader on the rise, if you are a job seeker. We have lots of jobs resources here on this very live. Amazing people, Marty, Lee, Sonal, Bob, myself, we're all here, Kevin. So these are people that you can trust and rely on, who do this day in and day out on behalf of people who are either on the market or not necessarily on the market like you, but actively building that online presence and mastering their message. So thank you. Thank you for being and owning your awesome and showing us all how to do that for ourselves. And you bring it every single time. Every single time. So everyone, if you're not following Cher Jones, get on it.
Follow your girl. Listen, I'm just happy to have a place where I can get all of this stuff that's in my brain that circles around all day, and someone actually wants to talk to me about it. That is amazing. So thank you for bringing me on your show today. It was awesome. And literally, I love the fact that we just come at the same thing from different angles, different goals, different purposes, but it all matters. And it just shows you that you have to constantly be evolving from the time of your search. And then you find the job, but then it's like, it doesn't stop there. Right?
Yeah. It's like, you're never done learning, and you're never done evolving.
You're never done branding.
And you're never done branding. ING. Anyway, everybody, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Thank you for joining Blast and a Half. And thank you, Cher, for bringing everything today. So see you soon, and have a great day, everyone.